So during Brett Kavanaugh's interview with Fox News, one of the things that he really wanted to drive home was that he needs an opportunity to be heard, which is fascinating because usually it is the victims of sexual assault who feel like their voices haven't been heard. But nonetheless, here's Kavanaugh talking about how he just wants people to treat him fairly.
I want a fair process where I can defend my integrity, and all I'm asking for is fairness and that I be heard in this process. All I'm asking for is a fair process where I can be heard. Again, just asking for a fair process where I can be heard and I can defend my integrity. I would say fair process, let me be heard, fair process, hear from both sides, and listen to me. I just want a fair process where I can be heard.
You don't have any thoughts on where this is coming from?
I just want a fair process where I can be heard, defend my integrity, defend the integrity of my family. Again, I'm just asking for a fair process where I can be heard and defend my integrity and defend my family's integrity. We're looking for a fair process where I can be heard and defend my integrity.
You don't want to talk about where you think this is coming from?
I just want an opportunity, a fair process where I can defend my integrity.
Okay, we did not repeat any of those. He said every single one of those. So, gee, I wonder if it was rehearsed. I can't quite tell. But there's something greatly ironic there. I just want a fair process where I can be heard. Well, good news for you. You're in the middle of a national interview. You can be heard right now.
Right.
So she's asking you questions. Are you going to do the same thing in the hearings where you don't answer the questions? And that's an incredibly friendly interviewer from Fox News. If you can't answer her questions and you're going to go with the rehearsed answers your lawyer gave you, then what are we doing here? And what do you mean fair process where you can be heard? You've been heard over and over and over again, and you will be heard again on Thursday. Well, like who's shutting you up?
Actually, I disagree with you, Cenk, because I do think that he's being treated unfairly, okay? And it's because of the way Senate Republicans have been behaving, specifically those on the Senate Judiciary Committee. Brett Kavanaugh absolutely deserves a fair process, and the only way that we will get to the truth is an FBI investigation. Not a criminal investigation, as I've said a billion times. I'm specifically calling for a background investigation, which is what the FBI did in the Anita Hill, Clarence Thomas hearings, okay? To get to the bottom of the truth, is there anything they can find in his background, given this new information that can get to the heart of the matter, that can get to the bottom of the truth and figure out what's really going on, right?
No, that's a great point. And he keeps saying that he wants to get to the bottom of it. There is a good way to get to the bottom of it. That's the FBI. And look, you have to understand that would be stacked totally in his favor. Why do I say that? Because the FBI is biased? No. In this case, I don't think they're biased towards the Republicans, which would be the charge here if you were saying that. No, I'm saying they're likely to find it inconclusive because it was 35, 36 years ago. So if you have the FBI look into it, very likely they'll either come back with, if he's right, they'll come back with there's no other witnesses. The only other witness mentioned is the one that Dr. Blasey mentioned, Mark Judge, who is a friend of Kavanaugh and backs him. So it might clear him in that sense. They wouldn't say guilty or not guilty in an FBI background check, but they would say there are no other witnesses. That'd be a huge win for him. The other thing that they could do is come back and likely say inconclusive. And then he could say, come on, you're gonna deny me over inconclusive? I guess the one thing he's afraid of is the percentage chance that they come back with witnesses, many other witnesses, or many other women. So he says he wants a fair hearing, but meanwhile, he's like, let's hurry up and vote.
That's exactly right. And Senate Republicans have been clear in that as soon as this testimony happens, as soon as this hearing happens, they want to rush a vote as soon as possible. They have no interest in hearing what the accuser, possibly accusers, if Deborah Ramirez is included, have to say about any of these cases. Now, let's go to Kavanaugh mentioning all the people who back him.
Listen to the people who've known me best through my whole life. The women who've known me since high school, the 65 who overnight signed a letter from high school saying I always treated them with dignity and respect. I was good friends with them, and we remain good friends. That's how 65 people on a moment's notice, 65 women. Listen to the women who've known me my whole life. A letter from friends I knew in high school, produced overnight, 65 women who knew me in high school. Listen to the people who've known me throughout my life, the men and women, the women who've known me throughout my life. The women I knew in college and the men I knew in college says it's inconceivable that I could have done such a thing. But the women who knew me when I was 14 years old. For the last 7 years, I've been coaching girls basketball. Ask the moms.
So 63 women who have signed that letter, because 2 of those women have since withdrawn their names. In fact, one of those women appeared in the Judicial Crisis Network ad that we had shown you when the story first broke. But those women, Luisa, Gary, and Dino Ewig, have decided to withdraw their names because of probably all the developments that have happened since they agreed to sign the letter supporting Kavanaugh.
Yeah, and they mentioned, look, there's no way of knowing that the Ramirez story didn't happen. So I don't want to be part of a letter that seems to indicate that these things didn't happen when there's no way we could know. And so that's a super fair response. They're not saying Kavanaugh did it. They're just saying, we also don't want to say Ramirez is lying or Blasie's lying because we don't know that. But I think the most important part of that is that it was a woman in the ad. I mean, the corporate PAC that is supporting him, Judicial Crisis Network, I don't know who funds them, but they have millions upon millions of dollars that they are spending to back Kavanaugh, and they picked a woman who they apparently thought this is the perfect person out of all those people to represent Kavanaugh. Now she's backed out and going, I don't know about that.
Yeah, in fact, I want to bring that Judicial Crisis Network ad back to give you a sense of how aggressively she supported him at first, and now again, she's withdrawing that support because she says, I don't know, I wasn't there, and I don't want to be associated with people that are just outright denying that these things happened. So Luisa Gary is her name. Again, she appeared in the Judicial Crisis Network ad in support of Brett Kavanaugh. The Judicial Crisis Network is essentially a group of right-wing conservatives who specifically want to make sure that the Supreme Court is stacked with conservative Supreme Court justices. Let's take a look at their ad.
Friends with Brett Kavanaugh for 35 years. Never thought about doing a TV commercial. I'm not involved in politics. I'm a teacher. I'm a coach. I believe that we need to have bright, curious, open-minded, thoughtful, empathetic people who are judges, and I trust that Brett is that person.
Oops. So whenever you see an ad, glossy ad like that, you should wonder where it came from. So these guys are going to spend at least $5 million backing Kavanaugh. You guys know anybody who's got $5 million lying around who's going to give to things like, no. It is very, very wealthy people who have an interest in having Kavanaugh on the bench, and then a lot of times Republicans can't find real people to put in the ads, and they'll put in actors. In this case, they got a real person, and oops, and now she's backed out going, I don't know. Okay, so that's not good. Now, look, at the risk of nitpicking a little bit, when he says, hey, I coach girls' sports, and you can ask their moms, dude, it's a low bar, right? I mean, okay, you didn't molest any of the girls or their moms when you were their coach.
Yeah,
I know, but we're like, I get it. He's trying to.
No, but okay, I'm going to explain why that's an insanely weak defense. Okay, because look, all of us have different characteristics depending on who we're dealing with, right? And so we're not all innocent, right? I mean, we're not all engaging in possibly criminal activity, but I'll give you an example. So when I'm with my friends, like I'm a high school student or a college student, when I'm with my friends, I behave a certain way, right? I let loose. So I might drink or I might partake in other things that I wouldn't want adults knowing about. But then when I'm around my friends' parents, I'm not like, woo, spring break. Like I don't do that, right? So for someone to say, go ask my friends' parents, they think very highly of me. Of course they do, because you make sure to edit your behavior when you're around those people.
I mean, so it's a great point. And people always like, who's the real, fill in the blank, Howard Stern, the guy on air or not on air, etc. There is no real anyone. You're 100% right. You act completely different next to your parents than you would next to your friends.
Right.
And so Yeah, if you were going nuts while coaching little girls, that would be like really weird and deeply problematic.
Right.
But I know he's just trying to thrash about trying to make any defense for himself. So look, in the post game, I'll tell you guys embarrassing stories about me in high school, not high school, junior high, and in 5th grade, where I told 2 terrible lies, and it still kind of haunts me to this day. And it's weird, like that he can't just be human for a second and say, man, the stuff I did in high school was, I feel really bad about it because we were kids and we were knuckleheads and we were trying to brag to each other. Just be a human for a second.
And what's super ironic is that the Republican Party, and I'm specifically talking about voters, found Trump so appealing because of how real he seems, right? How authentic he is when he speaks off the cuff and how he doesn't follow the typical political script when he's communicating. But then with Brett Kavanaugh, he is the definition of traditional politics in the way he carries and conducts himself. And it doesn't really seem to matter with Trump's base. They're still very supportive of Kavanaugh.
Yeah, and by the way, if you want to hear those outrageous stories of my youth, tyt.com/join to become a member and get all of our shows, including the post game. I don't know if they're outrageous, but I still feel bad about them. But unlike Kavanaugh, I'm not a robot, and I can talk to you about it. Thanks for watching this free clip of the Young Turks. Don't forget to become a TYT member today. For more exclusive content, join now at tyt.com/join.